What's up, my Whovian homies? I am the Doctor Who Kid, and welcome back to our ongoing look-through of Flux. Once upon time, and predictions. Okay, so this episode basically has the Doctor, Yaz, Dan, and Vinder being transported through their various time streams by this time storm inside the planet Time in the Temple of Atropos. Bleh, what a mouthful. And it's also intercut with scenes of this lady we've never met before called Belle wandering around the galaxy looking for someone she loves, who is revealed at the end to be Vinder. And I gotta say, I quite like this episode. Yeah, it wasn't as gripping as the first two, but you know, the first two were very action heavy and all that, whereas this was clearly more of a slow burn, we find things out kind of episode. And I gotta say, it worked out quite nicely. Plus, we got the Fugitive Doctor back. So yeah, I enjoyed the episode, and I am not going to give it a rating this time. I've decided to drop it. But of course, since we learned so many new things in this episode, now we have the real question on our hands. What happens next? So, the Doctor's flashback in this episode sees her and a bunch of others as a part of the division and going into the Temple of Atropos and showing how they defeated Swarm and Azure way back when. In it, we learn specifically that time is like this rampant force which the Mori have enlisted the division to help get a proper control of, and Swarm and Azure are against this. They took advantage of the Flux to mess up the Temple of Atropos to ensure that time would run wild once more, because the Flux is apparently indicative of space being messed up as well. We see that this mission involves the Fugitive Doctor, and that this specific mission was apparently promised to her as a way to stop working with the division anymore, like this would have been her final mission. So with that in mind, I have a feeling that we will be seeing the Fugitive Doctor one more time in this season, probably during the finale, and that when we do see her again, it will be revealed that she is the last incarnation of the Doctor before becoming William Hartnell and having their memories erased. That's my guess anyway. And since we see that Carvanista was apparently one of her companions during this division era, maybe he knows more than he's letting on after all. Next week, we'll be getting a Weeping Angel episode, which is foreshadowed in this one by a Weeping Angel constantly stalking Yaz. But why is it stalking Yaz in the first place? The cliffhanger is that it's getting inside the TARDIS, hijacking it, and taking it to places unknown. And by places unknown, it clearly means that village in the 60s that the next episode will take place in. What is going on with the Angels? Why are they in a village in the 60s in the first place? Obviously we'll be getting the answers to this next week, but for now, my main guess is that the Angels are stalking this rural out-of-the-way village because it provides a nice, isolated food stock that greater authorities won't be able to get to. And of course, with the Weeping Angel episode next week, we'll also be getting Claire returning. Now, Claire's presence in the episode could go either way. Either she could be from the 60s and have an encounter with the Angel. That will lead to her gaining the knowledge she possesses in episode 1. But if that's the case, then that also begs the question how she even got to 2021 Liverpool in the first place. Because Weeping Angels only take you back to the past to play some shitty games that suck. Never in the future, to our knowledge. So, how did Claire get in the present if it's not because of the Weeping Angels? Simple. The Doctor will drop her off in London so that she could warn her earlier self leading to the scene in episode 1. What role do the Weeping Angels have to play in this whole Flux saga? Well, the Flux ravaging the universe is making time go crazy, and the Angels feed off of probability. So all this crazy time shenanigans is probably either messing up their food source or is practically like an all-you-can-eat buffet for them. Also in this episode, we learn that Swarm and Azure have kidnapped Diane, specifically holding her as a prisoner inside Passenger, which is kind of like this thingy that absorbs people inside of its body. Now, why would they do that? What's so special about Diane that two disintegrating aliens would kidnap her? My theory? They did it because she's close to Dan, and the reason they're interested in Dan is because they're non-linear beings, meaning that they knew he would get involved with the Doctor, and because they have their whole thing against the Doctor, well, you can probably figure out the rest from there. In this episode, we meet this lady called Belle, who's traveling around time and space looking for her love, who is revealed to be Finder, as I said in the recap. So, is there anything more important going on here? Because we also learned that she's pregnant, but apparently some fans have noticed that if you look at the dates around Vinder's outpost stationing, it sounds like he's been there far too long than his appearance would suggest. Plus, when Belle's traveling around the universe, she's like, I wonder if he looks different. So, this has apparently led some fans to speculate that they might be Time Lords too, or that they're connected to the Timeless Child somehow. Specifically that Belle is pregnant with the Timeless Child. Personally, I don't know if I like this idea. I mean, people complained that the Timeless Child twist on its own was enough to rob the Doctor of mystery, even though, in theory, it adds more mystery onto her. I mean, can you imagine how those people would react if the show suddenly introduced the Doctor's parents? So, this is one theory that I don't think will come true. Oh yeah, and when Dan's wandering around his timeline, we also get another appearance from Diggy Guy, who's wielding a laser rifle and shooting at these blue mite things, which are later revealed to essentially be corrosive time, or something like that. Now, why would Dan, when going through his own time stream, encounter Diggy Guy? Well, there's probably one logical explanation. Diggy Guy is Dan's ancestor. But of course, there's still the question of why is Diggy Guy important in the first place? Well, apparently, Diggy Guy is a real-life historical figure who is this eccentric rich guy who had people digging holes for a reason that was never found out. Nobody knows why he did it. Now, clearly, this is suggesting to me that Flux is going to provide its own sci-fi explanation for the whole thing. But what could it be? Well, given that next week's episode is set in 1967, I don't think it will have anything to do with the Weeping Angels. I think that these holes are either to act as a prison or as some sort of maze to possibly repel some kind of alien threat. Maybe something triggered by the Flux. And my final prediction is that at some point Yaz will give the Doctor what for being so mean to her. Like, first she dismisses all of her questions in the Halloween apocalypse, and then when they finally get out of the time stream, the Doctor's all frustrated over not getting the chance to find out some more answers over the future version of herself, and she really just says this hurtful things to Yaz, and she just takes it. Now, granted, Yaz's characterization has always been a bit spotty in this era, but I don't think she's the kind of person who would just take that, especially given, the kind of companion she's been evolving into over the course of this era. So yeah, at some point in this series, 13 and Yaz are going to have a proper talk about everything. So yeah, those are my thoughts as to where Doctor Who Flux could go for the next 3 episodes. I can't believe we're already halfway through the new series. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when it's all over. But still, I will be seeing you next week, my Whovian Hovies, as we will discover the history that inspired Flux. So, that was my first major style change. What do you think? Get out of my room! Okay!